I'm now going to continue with the business of the day, and we go to the 10-minute rule motion. And I call... Marvellous. And I call Stephen Flynn.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I beg to move that leave be given to bring in a bill to require the Secretary of State to publish measures to address the findings of the Parliamentary and Health Service Ombudsman in its report entitled Women's State Pension Age, Our Findings on Injustice and Associated Issues, to require the Secretary of State to publish proposals for a compensation scheme for women born between the 6th of April 1950 and the 5th of April 1960 inclusive, who have been affected by increases in the state pension age and for connected purposes. And, Madam Deputy Speaker, I do so with no joy whatsoever. Indeed, I do so more born out of complete and utter frustration, but I do so because it's the right thing to do. And it's the right thing to do for a number of reasons. It's the right thing to do because we require trust in politics. And I think all of us at this moment in time, certainly within this chamber, are conscious of the breakdown in trust between ourselves in this Parliament and with the public outside. So for those of us who have stood alongside the WASPI women for many years, for those of us who have pledged to support the WASPI women for many years, for those of us who promised to take action whether they were ever to gain government office, it's important that that trust is repaid. And this bill seeks to do that. It seeks to do the right thing by those people who we made a promise to. But it's also the right thing to do because for many of the women who are impacted by this injustice isn't alone. Throughout many of their lives, they will have unfortunately been the people who were impacted by the fact that they would not have received a salary comparable to that of their male counterpart. They are the women who would have faced the injustice of knowing that they wouldn't have been able to get themselves up the career ladder simply because of the fact that they were a woman and there was a male counterpart. They are the people who would have known that whether they were going to have children or not may well decide what their career opportunities were. That was an unforgivable injustice that they had to experience, and we should not be compounding that injustice by not providing them with the compensation they deserve for having their pension entitlement changed. It's also the right thing to do because the PHSO tells us it's the right thing to do. And within the state that we operate within, if we do not have trust, if we do not have confidence, and we do not support the outcomes of our Ombudsman, then simply where are the public to go? Where are they to put their trust? And the Ombudsman was very, very clear, abundantly clear, that these women were the victims of maladministration, that the DWP did not act in the way that it should have done. But much worse than that, the PHSO was clear that the DWP could not be trusted to rectify the wrong that they had imposed upon those women. So what happened? We were effectively delegated the responsibility to respond. And what did we see? We've seen a government turn its back on those women. But not before, of course, they held placards. Not before, of course, they gave warm words when they felt it was politically expedient to do so. And let's listen to some of those warm words. Let's start off with the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, who said, and I quote, "All your working life you've got in mind the date on which you can retire and get your pension. And just as you get towards it, the goalposts are moved and you don't get it. And that's a real injustice." Let's look at what the Deputy Prime Minister said. They want their money back and quite rightly so. Let's look at what the Chancellor of the Exchequer said. Pleasure to speak in the state pension age debate and talk about women who are being treated so badly. The government must listen. Hashtag WASPy. The Home Secretary. I'll keep fighting for a fair deal for WASPy women. The Business Secretary. I have always supported local campaigners and will continue to stand up for the WASPy women of Tameside. I know that you will fight on. The Defence Secretary. Labour will correct this historic wrong. And for those of us in Scotland, let's look north of the border. The leader of the Labour Party in Scotland, Anas Sarwar, who said, under my leadership, WASPy women will finally receive the justice they deserve. Or indeed, the wider Labour Party in Scotland, who stated, and I quote once again, Labour will right the historical wrong of pension discrimination by compensating more than 300,000 women in Scotland with an average of £15,000. When Labour wins, Scotland's women win. What happened? A parcel of rogues, indeed. Now, I was one of many who was in this chamber prior to Christmas when the Secretary of State decided to make a statement right before Parliament broke off to confirm that the government was sorry. To confirm that the government was sorry for the maladministration that took place. That it was going to make sure that the Department for Work and Pensions, which inflicted this wrong upon those women, would never do so again. Lessons would be learned. But that was your lot. The evidence that they used to back up their decision not to award any compensation, in fact, not even to discuss the concept of compensation within this chamber, was based upon data, as I understand it, of just 200 respondents from many years ago. They then go on to say that there's no money at all, as if they aren't the ones who get to decide how money is spent, as if they aren't the ones who have decided to box themselves in on pretty much every tax lever that possibly exists, that they aren't the ones, and I appreciate that not everyone in this chamber will agree with me on this point, that they aren't the ones who've decided to simply accept the broken economic norms formed by leaving the European Union, by rejecting single market access and access to the customs union, accepting the fact that that will cause economic damage and limit the money which is available to them. None of that was their fault at all. How very dare they? Do they think that the public are zipped up the back? Do they think that the WASPy women are not listening and not watching the decisions that they have chosen to take? This, Madam Deputy Speaker, is a defining issue. Many of us in the last Parliament watched on as a TV show changed the mind of the government in respect of the Post Office horizon. Many of us watched on as Parliament itself forced the government to change tact when it came to the infected blood scandal. Many of us have spoken about the Equitable Life scandal, the Hillsborough disaster, the loan charge debacle, and indeed the WASPy campaign. Defining issues of that last Parliament can still be defining issues of this Parliament, but only if the government acts to provide the compensation and redress that these women so badly deserve. There was a man who went on to become the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom who said that the walls of Westminster are so high. He was inferring that we don't listen to what the public want, nor do we see what it is that they are fighting for and what they believe in. But we know where the public stand on this issue. We know that they believe the WASPy women should be given the compensation that they deserve. And with this bill, we will seek to provide it, Madam Deputy Speaker. Thank you very much.
The question is that the honourable member have leave to bring in the bill. As many as that opinion say aye. Aye. Of the contrary, no. 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 As many as that opinion say aye. Aye. Of the contrary, no. No. Division, clear the lobby. The question is as on the order paper. As many as that opinion say aye. Aye. Of the contrary, no. No. Names of the tellers for the ayes.
Kirsty Blackman and Bobby Dean.
Kirsty Blackman and Bobby Dean. And tellers for the noes.
Brendan O'Hara.
Brendan O'Hara.
Ben Lake.
And Ben Lake. Order.
The ayes to the right, 105. The noes to the left, 0.
The ayes to the right were 105, the noes to the left were 0. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. Unlock. Order. Mr. Flynn, who will prepare and bring in the bill?
How are you?
Kirsty Blackman, Pete Wishart, Graham Ledbetter, Liz Saville-Roberts, Brian Leishman, Sir Julian Lewis, Steve Darling, Shan Berry, Gavin Robinson, Claire Hanna, Jeremy Corbyn and myself.
Here.
Stephen Flynn.
Women's State Pension Aid, Ombudsman Report and Compensation Scheme Bill.
Second reading what day?
7th of March.
7th of March 2025.